A first frost forecast turns the garden into a timing exercise. The right decision depends on the crop, the expected temperature, and how long the cold will last. This checklist will help you sort plants into 3 groups: harvest now, cover overnight, or leave in place with a plan for colder weather. That simple sorting prevents both wasted produce and unnecessary work. Start by checking the forecast for your actual garden area, not just a broad regional prediction. A frost usually means temperatures near the ground may reach freezing, even when the official air temperature is measured higher up. Wind, cloud cover, elevation, and the length of the cold period all matter. A brief light frost is different from a hard freeze, when temperatures stay below freezing long enough to damage far more plant tissue. Tender crops deserve the fastest decision. Beans, peppers, and warm-season tomatoes can be injured when ice forms inside their cells. The damage may appear as limp leaves, water-soaked tissue, or darkened fruit after the temperature rises again. If a freezing night is expected, harvest mature beans and peppers before sunset, along with tomatoes that are beginning to color. Green tomatoes are worth saving when they are full-sized and firm. Pick them with a small piece of stem attached, then keep them in a cool, dry place where they are protected from freezing. They can ripen gradually away from the plant. Very small green tomatoes may not develop the same flavor or texture, so use your best judgment and harvest the fruit that has already reached a useful size. Do not wait until morning to gather tender produce. Once frost settles, plant tissue can freeze before you have time to react, especially on exposed leaves and fruit. Harvesting in the afternoon gives the plants and produce time to dry, and it avoids handling frozen tissue, which bruises easily. Remove damaged or diseased fruit separately so it does not spoil beside healthy harvests. Leafy greens need a different decision. Lettuce, spinach, kale, and similar crops can often tolerate a light frost, although their tolerance varies with the crop, variety, and growing conditions. A row cover adds protection by trapping a layer of air around the plants. Use a breathable fabric made for garden protection, and support it so the material does not press heavily on tender leaves. The cover works best when it reaches the soil on every side. Cold air can flow underneath a loose edge, canceling much of the benefit. Anchor the edges with soil, boards, or suitable weights, while leaving enough room for plant growth. Put the row cover on before temperatures fall, and remove or vent it during sunny daytime weather if the crop would become excessively warm. A row cover is not a guarantee against every hard freeze. Its protection depends on the fabric, the fit, the wind, and the duration of the cold. For a short light frost, it may extend the harvest of leafy greens effectively. When a hard freeze is expected, harvest the most valuable leaves first and use the cover as extra protection, rather than as a reason to ignore the forecast. Carrots can usually remain in the ground through a light frost. Their roots are insulated by the surrounding soil, and cool weather can improve their eating quality. They do not need immediate harvesting simply because frost is predicted. However, exposed carrot shoulders can be more vulnerable than roots buried deeply, so cover the bed with a layer of mulch such as clean straw or shredded leaves. Mulch slows temperature change in the root zone. It does not heat the soil, but it acts like a blanket, reducing the speed at which cold reaches the roots. Keep the mulch loose enough for air and water to move through, and avoid piling wet material tightly against plant crowns. This same protection can help other hardy root crops remain usable longer, provided the soil is not waterlogged. Containers require special attention because their roots are surrounded by a smaller volume of soil. That soil loses heat faster than the ground in a garden bed. If practical, move tender potted herbs, peppers, or other frost-sensitive crops into a sheltered, unheated space before freezing weather arrives. Check for insects first, and place the containers where they receive suitable light without being exposed to cold drafts. The forecast also tells you when to stop pushing tender plants. If nights are repeatedly cold and daytime growth has slowed, another late harvest may not justify the effort of covering and uncovering weak plants. Remove spent annual crops after harvesting and clear away fallen diseased leaves. Healthy plant residue can be composted properly, but diseased material is better handled according to local composting guidance. Use the first frost as a planning signal for the next season. Note which crops were still productive, which ones needed protection, and which varieties handled the cold well. Record the approximate timing, the forecast, and what actually happened in your garden. Frost varies from one yard to another, so your own observations become valuable evidence for future planting and harvest decisions. Planning also improves the bed itself. Once tender crops are finished, pull plants that no longer contribute, remove weeds before they set seed, and keep the soil covered with healthy mulch or a suitable cover crop. Living roots and organic residues can reduce erosion and support soil structure, while a bare, compacted bed is more likely to lose moisture and become difficult to work later. Before the cold arrives, walk the garden with 3 questions in mind. What must be harvested today? What can stay with a row cover or mulch? What needs a longer-term plan for a hard freeze? Check stakes, trellises, irrigation lines, and container locations at the same time. Good preparation is less about protecting everything and more about matching the effort to each plant's tolerance and value. The most reliable first frost routine is simple. Harvest tender beans, peppers, and useful green tomatoes. Cover tolerant leafy greens before the temperature drops. Mulch carrots and other hardy roots, and move vulnerable containers when practical. Then record what worked and prepare the beds for the next season. A frost forecast is not a reason to panic. It is a clear decision point that helps you protect food, reduce waste, and keep the garden productive longer. The more you understand your garden, the bigger your harvest can become. Subscribe to the Infinite Harvest and keep growing.